How are you doing? I thought I would continue our conversation. It's by request, actually. I have so much to say, and yet I stop myself from making videos. I stop myself from continuing the conversation because there is so much to say. And so I put out little sound bites, but through writing, mostly on social media, Facebook mostly, at least until I get a big enough pushback from Facebook where they stop me from posting. So I have this center, right? This natural healing center, and so naturally, as a part of that, I am an advocate, right? So I'm an advocate for natural healing, for complementary and alternative medicines. So therefore, my advocacy is in the right for people to be able to choose those medicines. And then that leads into medical freedom. And then that leads into informed consent, which is very relevant and topical for our current public health climate, human story, human world conversation. So during the week I shared an opinion piece. It was actually an open letter to the Australian Prime Minister in response to his speech that he was planning to give all 25 million inhabitants the inoculation. I don't know about you, but that's gotta turn something in your insides, doesn't it? I'm a history student at university. I was studying the German Jewish experience under sociology, I believe, and so while it's not part of my genetic history, it's in my human cellular memory, and so yeah, it has a little bit of that kind of espousing has a fanatical kind of tinge to it, and just reminds me of that. So anyway, I wrote a little opinion piece and an open letter to the Prime Minister, and then I got a warning from the Facebook gods. And then they deleted the post altogether. I thought, no, that's a bit sorry, I'm being mindful because I know I'm going to get into trouble. Hilarious. Well, it's just a little autocratic, right? It's a little, it's just me. I'm just me giving my opinion from my point of view, from my life experience through my storyline. And yeah, so it's interesting times, but I did want to check in to just see, where your head is at with all of this, and we can have an exchange through the comments, or if you want to direct message me, we can talk about it, because it's not a small thing, and this conversation, this human story, has gripped the whole world. It's a world story, similar to World War II in a way, right? So somehow this has linked all of our minds in this single point of focus. So I am curious about where your head is at. Are you keeping your head above water, or have you plunged your head into the sand, which is totally understandable, or is your head in the clouds? So where's your focus? Where's your attention? Because we know that, where your attention goes, energy flows, and where your energy flows, your biology goes, right? So to just piggyback off my last conversation, we want to really be vigilant to where our energy is going. So that means that we need to be vigilant to where our attention is going. And if it doesn't feel good in the body, then we need to do something about our attention. And so to keep our attention on the human story, it requires a certain kind of resilience. It does. So for me personally, I'm keeping up with my my self-care. I make it the most important thing. So it includes daily morning meditation. I do the 5 Tibetan rites along with another Tibetan yoga routine called Lujong, and I make it my job to hydrate well and eat really good foods, to nurture my relationships with my friends and my community, to keep in touch with my family who are all in Australia. Hence my comment to the Australian Prime Minister. I still call Australia home. I've got 2 homes, I cheat on both of you. Yes. Oh, so speaking of cheating, I've got a cheeky little joke for you. For those who can hear it, there are going to be plenty who can't. But for those of you who can, and for those of you who can't, just put your head back in the sand. But remember how in a previous conversation I was disarming, because we create the world through language, and so I felt intuitively that I needed to disarm the word, and And so in the end, so at first it became a cheating boyfriend. We just called it the cheating boyfriend because he was getting into everything and everyone. And then in time, it became just reversed. So it became 91 Divik. And 91 Divik is a posh estate. Again, it... I can feel some of you cocking your head at what I'm saying. It's just bear with me. Put it on the shelf for later. But anyway, so 91 Divik became this very fancy estate where you go and have high tea and balls and things like that. Where hopefully the cheating boyfriend does not go. So anyway, the cheating boyfriend, though, coming back to him, it turns out, and this is pertaining to the Prime Minister's declaration that he has a plan to inoculate all 25 million Australians who are on the land presently, is that the cheating boyfriend comes with a little prick. Some of you will appreciate that. This is spiritual humor. Or not, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's something. Do with it what you will. But yeah, so actually I put myself in this room for a reason, in this position rather for this reason. Okay, somebody's got a that's what she said joke in there, I'm sure. But anyway, so do you see behind me, this is a map, a graphic of, it's a depiction, right? A graphic depiction of the energy centers that exist in the body along the spine. And so what's interesting about this time, right? So I shared my opinion, I shared my 2 cents, my 2 pence on social media, and it has, it has a certain kind of effect when we share our words, when we share our thoughts, or we share our version of what's true, good, and right for us. It might bump up, it might knock against somebody else's idea of what's true, good, and right for them based on their worldview, based on, what they're believing. And so it's interesting because what the ego does is that it attacks, right? So and it will attack depending on its evolution or sophistication or maturity, maybe. So either the ego attacks really literally to the point of destruction, right? So one of the ego's base directions is to kill or be killed, and and it can get played out literally when it meets something that it doesn't want or doesn't like. It can be that extreme. But we've evolved. We don't do that so much. This is not gladiator times. This is not Roman times. or primitive times. And so we do it, though. We still will annihilate with our own words, with our own intent, and try to cut that person off, which is also relevant to my conversation last time, my previous conversation. And so remember how I said that, actually deep down, though, that's not what we want. We don't really want to annihilate the other person. We really just want to be at peace with what is. So, what's interesting, the interesting observation that I made was, in being censored by the platform through which I share my thoughts, my worldview, my ideas. So the post got completely disappeared. So that was interesting to me, because it took me quite a long time to write that piece. And it flowed. It wasn't. It was more just that it had my attention, this piece, and I wrote it directly into Facebook. So that means I don't have a copy, right? It's here somewhere. I could probably replicate it to the chagrin of the greater good. But anyway, so the post completely disappeared. They disappeared it. And I thought, oh, so interesting, because where there, that's an attack, right? It's an attack of the throat center. So I positioned myself here so that you could see it's that blue center right there. That is a graphic that is a graphic rendition showing the energy center that pertains to the throat center. And what's funny not funny, is that as a result, or since then, I've kind of noticed that my throat's a little dry and a little bit scratchy, and I thought, yeah, because my words are being cut off. I'm being cut off. So this censorship is a thing. It's an energetic movement. It's an attack, actually, on our voice, because, again, from the cosmic point of view, from God's point of view, it should be okay for us to be able to hear each other's voices, each other's language, and if our voices are very, very destructive, and we have a discernment, right? There's an inner discernment. We're psychic beings. We're broadcasters, we're transistors, we're receivers, and so we're picking up on the vibes. And so, by watching this video, you're picking up on my vibes, and you're getting a sense of, what kind of, you're getting a psychic sense, an intuitive sense, a subtle sense, well, through your subtle senses of, what kind of person I am. And, and if you're attuned to that, then you'll know that any words that I offer are only ever from the intention for expansion, to expand consciousness, to expand the mind, to expand the heart, to bring society, to bring the human story closer in alignment with their true inherent nature. And so for me, in my direct experience and in my life story, because I've received so many miracles, medical miracles, that I know that the answer isn't in, this particular, therapy, this particular gene therapy that is being renamed as the other word for inoculation. It just isn't. So as convincing as it is, through the spell casting of the newscasters and the political leaders, the medical establishment, through through the established media sources that that's the only way. It just isn't. There are many ways. There are many ways. So actually, I'm thinking about putting on, just getting out a video series or inviting you to a webinar, so like a meeting where we can talk about these other ways, so that you really have the confidence to be able to keep your immune system vibrant and resilient and strong, but also to give you the confidence that you need to be able to ride the wave of this story, to get to the other side of it. I think we have some turbulence to navigate. I think we're still got a ways to go in the storm, but it's okay. We came here to experience adversity, and again, it's not the adversity that's important. It's how we respond to the adversity. So I think I'll finish it here at 16 minutes. Again, I have so much to say, but let's leave it here. So thank you for your time and your attention. There's so much out there that's grabbing and vying for our attention, but for those who know me, know that I love you and I care very deeply about your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. And so I just want to remind you before we go that even if it's confusing and even if it's unwanted, undesired, somehow everything is in perfect order. Somehow everything's happening exactly on time. It's happening exactly as it's supposed to, and everyone's being exactly who they're supposed to, just playing their perfect parts. And it's still all love. It's still all love begetting itself, or efforting to begetting itself, to make more of itself, right? So love can only be itself when it brings up that which is unlike itself, and so that's kind of what's going on right now. But anyway, so enjoy the rest of your day, have sweet dreams, and I'll talk to you next time.